No one takes a shot like Daniel Cormier. That's not just about his chin, it's about his life. It's about a kid from Lafayette, Louisiana, who learned early that the world doesn't pause when you fall. You get knocked down, you get up. You have to. What are you going to do? Just stay there? By the time most fans came to know Daniel Cormier, he was already a force, a two-division UFC champion and Olympian, a broadcaster with a voice that could shake an arena. Holy smokes, he'd shout cageside, watching chaos unfold. But long before the gold belts and the commentary desk, there was a little boy in the bayou trying to figure out how to survive. Lafayette in the 70s and 80s wasn't glamorous. DC grew up in a house that didn't have much money, but it had something better. People, cousins, friends, neighbors. It was the kind of home where if someone needed a place to stay, they stayed. The kind of house where mattresses got dragged into the backyard and turned into wrestling rings. Cardboard belts, bloody noses, jumping off fences like it was WCW on pay-per-view. They played everything. Basketball on homemade hoops nailed into trees, baseball across streets and into schoolyards, football until the sun went down. Competition wasn't an activity, it was oxygen. But underneath the laughter and chaos, there was pain. Daniel didn't have much of a relationship with his biological father. In fact, he has one memory. One. And then, on Thanksgiving Day in 1986, when DC was just 7 years old, the phone rang. His father had been shot and killed. At 7, death doesn't make sense. It feels like noise, chaos, adults crying in rooms you're not supposed to enter. After the funeral, Daniel remembers lying in bed with a migraine so severe it paralyzed him, crying, not fully understanding why. And then, Percy Benoit walked into the room. Percy wasn't his biological father. He was the man who raised him, the man who chose him. Percy sat on the bed and comforted a child who wasn't technically his. In that moment, Daniel learned something about strength that had nothing to do with muscles. Strength is staying. Strength is loving a woman through her grief over another man. Strength is comforting a boy who doesn't carry your name. Cormier would carry that lesson forever. You see it now in the way he talks about his own children, the way he coaches, the way he pours himself into everything. Percy didn't just raise a fighter, he raised a father. But before Daniel Cormier was a champion, before he was a captain, before he was DC, he was a kid who got bullied. There was a boy named Gilbert. Gilbert used to beat him up, constantly. Sometimes DC wouldn't even fight back. One time he got hit so hard he fell to the ground and instead of swinging, he stood up and walked home. That kind of humiliation doesn't just bruise your skin, it bruises your spirit. It builds a fear of confrontation, a quiet voice that says, maybe you're not built for this world. Wrestling changed that. At first, it was backyard chaos, but when a high school coach saw Daniel and his friends fighting in a parking lot and invited them to try organized wrestling, everything shifted. Most of the neighborhood kids quit. It was too hard, too painful, too humbling. Daniel stayed. He lost and lost and lost again. But something inside him refused to let go. He couldn't explain it then. He still can't fully explain it now. He just didn't quit. He walked across the street to the high school by himself. No ride needed, no parent pushing him, just him and the mat. And eventually, he stopped losing. Confidence replaced fear. The bullied kid became the one who never backed down. Wrestling didn't just teach him takedowns, it gave him armor. But armor doesn't make you invincible. As a sophomore in high school, he was undefeated, 15-0. Then he lit a firework on a bus. One stupid decision, one explosion of immaturity, he was kicked off the team. For a month, he stood outside the wrestling room staring through a small window in the door, hoping for another chance. Percy couldn't watch his son unravel. He went to the coach and begged. The coach agreed, with conditions, extra work, cleaning bathrooms, more drills, more punishment. That punishment made him better. He went from good in Louisiana to good in the country. The kid who got thrown off the team became such a model athlete that his coach named his own son Daniel. Adversity didn't break him, it refined him. By 16, he was on a plane for the first time, flying to Budapest for the Cadet World Championships. He was terrified, thought the plane was going to fall out of the sky, but he won bronze on the world stage. From there, the rise continued. All-state football, scholarship offers. He could have played for LSU, packed stadiums, roaring crowds. Instead, he chose wrestling. Because in wrestling, if you did everything right, the result was yours alone. That mindset took him to Oklahoma State under legendary coach John Smith. It took him to NCAA finals. It put him across the mat from Cael Sanderson, one of the greatest collegiate wrestlers ever. 6 losses to Sanderson, 6 reminders that greatness has layers. Each loss sharpened him. By 2003, he was chasing the Olympics. And then, on June 14, 2003, his 3-month-old daughter, Kaden, was killed in a car accident. There are losses in sports. And then there is that. He didn't train for a while. He couldn't get out of bed. A coach finally told him he needed to return, not just for wrestling, but to honor his daughter, to carry her with him on the mat. He qualified for the 2004 Olympics. A fortune cookie before the trials said he was about to go on a journey far away. He clung to it. In Athens, he walked in the opening ceremony representing the United States of America, his mom in the stands, a kid from Lafayette leading a team of the best wrestlers in the country as captain. He lost in the semifinals. Then he lost the bronze medal match. Another heartbreak. In 2008, he returned as captain again. One more shot, one more chance to rewrite the ending. But a brutal weight cut caused kidney failure. His body locked up, IVs went in. He was eliminated before he ever wrestled. Olympian, but the guy who went to the Olympics and didn't compete. He came home to less warmth, less admiration. He sold ad space for a living, from Olympic captain to paper pusher. For most, that's the end of the story. But no one takes a shot like DC. In 2009, at 30 years old, he walked into American Kickboxing Academy, nose broken early in training, cuts, beatings, humbling moments. He didn't quit. He never does. He tore through MMA, won the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix, entered the UFC, then made a decision that defined his character. He dropped to light heavyweight rather than fight his friend and teammate, heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. Another sacrifice, another detour. He cut weight carefully this time, disciplined, tested, prepared. He lost to John Jones the first time. The rivalry would define headlines. He lost again in the rematch, though it was later overturned. Frustration followed him like a shadow. Then came Anthony Rumble Johnson. He got rocked early, dropped, and he got back up. It had been his life story. Get knocked down, get up. Again and again and again. He choked Rumble out and became UFC light heavyweight champion. Later, he moved back to heavyweight and knocked out Stipe Miocic to become a 2-division champion, finally, undeniably on top. After all the almosts, after all the heartbreak, after the losses that would have buried most men. When asked whether what he's overcome is more impressive than what he's achieved, he doesn't hesitate. Yes. Losing his father, losing his daughter, coming from where he came from and still standing, that's the real victory. The belts are metal. The legacy is flesh and bone. Daniel Cormier was born with fight in him, but it had to be drawn out. By bullies, by tragedy, by defeat, by Gilbert, by Cael Sanderson, by John Jones, by life itself. It's easy to be scared. It's better to be brave. And no one takes a shot like DC. If this story moved you, if Daniel Cormier's journey from the bayou to MMA immortality reminded you what resilience really looks like, let me know in the comments. What moment hit you the hardest? Was it Athens, the Strikeforce Grand Prix, the night he became double champ? And who else should we break down next in Becoming a Fighter? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in these incredible stories of grit, loss, and greatness.